We're going back to the last week of April in 1985. In music, one of the Duran Duran spin-offs cracks the top 10, a Breakfast Club song won't let us forget about it, and a large group of USA singers try to prove that they can raise more money for charity than a large group of European singers. On Wednesday night television, Charles Ingalls took on the Bionic Man with new roles and shows, while a Different Strokes spin-off led the Nielsen's at the 9 p.m. slot. William Zabka played another bad guy in the movies. Madonna got into the popcorn and soda world, and someone fell for the banana in the tailpipe. All that plus a number one movie at the box office that was so bad I hadn't heard of it. I rented it on Amazon and really wished I hadn't. And the most popular cars on the road were just as bad as that movie. You're watching This Week in the 80s, so stick around. On the Billboard charts, there wasn't all that much going on from 40 to 30. There were some big names, but other than Bryan Adams with Heaven and Somebody, a lot of forgettable songs. I'll tell you the bands, then I'll tell you the songs, and you see if you can match them up. All right, the musicians: Julian Lennon, New Edition, Luther Vandross, REO Speedwagon, Rick Springfield. That's easy, right? Kenny Loggins. There you go. I skipped Katrina and the Waves Walking on Sunshine because that song just haunts everybody. Now I'll tell you the songs: Vox Humana, One Lonely Night, Celebrate Youth, Till My Baby Comes Home, Lost in Love, and Say You're Wrong. What? Yeah, those were the songs. So that's 40 to 30. 40 to 30 usually isn't loaded with too many good songs anyway, because the good songs were already in the top 5. So 40 to 30 real quick: Say You're Wrong by Julian Lennon, Lost in Love, New Edition, Till My Baby Comes Home, Luther Vandross. I don't even know any of these songs. Somebody with Bryan Adams, 37. Can't Fight This Feeling, REO, 36. Heaven, Bryan Adams, 35. Train in the Waves with Walking on Sunshine's at 34. Celebrate Youth by Rick Springfield. It's 85, Rick. You don't have any more youth. Like, move on. One Lonely Night, another REO Speedwagon song. Someone called the Mary Jane Girls had a tune called In My House. Wasn't playing in my house. And Kenny Loggins with Vox Humana. What the hell is that, Kenny? Just play Footloose and then get off the stage. 29 to 20, Just a Gigolo, I Ain't Got Nobody by David Lee Roth. Things Can Only Get Better by Howard Jones. It's another tune that's kind of rocked. Howard Jones, he had some good songs, just a few. I think he was more popular in Europe than he was in the US, where I am, obviously. Boy, he had great hair, didn't he? 27, Fresh by Kool and the Gang. 26, Forever Man, Eric Clapton. Lover Girl by Tina Marie. Nope. Suddenly, Billy Ocean. What's going on with the charts this week, guys? Madonna, Material Girl. Remember that video where she was trying to be Marilyn Monroe? Didn't work out. Number 22, Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer. That's the tune from Beverly Hills Cop. This used to get played on the radio. Like, imagine now just a song with a keyboard getting played on the radio. Patti LaBelle, number 21, New Attitude. And number 20 was Rock and Roll Girls by John Fogerty. Listen, John Fogerty's cool, right? But that song, I don't know. Daryl Hall and John Oates. That's cool. Gotta love Hall and Oates if you're an 80s kid. Which one was it? It was Some Things Are Better Left Unsaid. Now we're starting to get into the good stuff, though. Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Remember these guys on Live Aid? Everybody Wants to Rule the World was a big part of that. That's actually the one performance I remember because, I was 12, so it's not like I've got great memories. I remember watching Live Aid, but I don't remember specifically every act that came out. But I do remember Tears for Fears, and it was awesome. Number 17 on the charts, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with My Personal Theme Song. Don't Come Around Here No More. Really, really weird video, too. How about taking little Alice and making her into a cake and cutting her up and serving it to your friends? What was that all about? 16, Wham, Everything She Wants. 15, Foreigner. That was yesterday. They were still hanging on. Foreigner is a good band. Lou Gramm was an awesome singer. The interesting thing about Foreigner now is they still go out on tour, right? But it's not really Foreigner. It's the guy who owns the name to Foreigner, which is the bass player, and a bunch of other people. Isn't that pretty much just like Foreigner karaoke? Like, did anybody ever buy a Foreigner ticket? It's like, man, I can't wait to see this bass player. I don't even know who the bass player is. 14, Chicago, Along Comes a Woman. 13, Diana Ross, Missing You. 12, Smooth Barbarella, which is what I thought the words were. Smooth Operator by Sade. Turns out, as I may have mentioned before, Sade is not that lead singer's name. It's the name of the band. I thought her name was Sade. Goes to show what I knew when I was 12. Number 11, Phil Collins checks in with the soft as soft can get with One More Night. It was on the No Jacket Required album, so he gets away with it. This one did end up peaking at number 1, too, so what do I know? Let's check out the top 10. All She Wants to Do Is Dance, Don Henley. That's a cool tune. Don't come back here, Yankee. But if you ever do, I'll bring more money because all she wants to do is dance. Like, I was 12 singing those lyrics. What were my parents thinking? Well, look what happened. Probably not a lot. Number 9, I'm on Fire, Bruce Springsteen. Number 8, the Taylor Boys. They broke up with Simon Le Bon and crew, started a band with Robert Palmer, and they came up with Some Like It Hot by the Power Station. Nice job, boys. Number 7, as 80s can get, Obsession by Animotion. Number 6, one of my favorite 80s songs of all time, One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head. I get my kicks above the waistline, Sunshine. Song's about chess, imagine that. Number 5, I like Simple Minds. Their Street Fighting Years album is amazing. Their version of Biko is incredible. No one ever plays any of that stuff. We can barely get Alive and Kicking on the radio because everyone's still playing Don't You Forget About Me. Turns out the name of the song is actually just Don't You. Forget About Me is in parentheses. Yeah, we've seen The Breakfast Club. Yeah, we're 80s kids. Yeah, we love it. Number 4, Night Shift by the Commodores, song about Marvin Gaye. Number 3, DeBarge. Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge. Why did DeBarge exist? Why do we insist on calling our radio stations and asking that stuff to get played? No more DeBarge. DeBarge is on the list like just a little below Journey on the worst things that happened in the 80s. Number 2, Madonna, Crazy for You. Number 1, The Big Deal. The reason that the rest of the songs probably didn't get much of a push, We Are the World by USA for Africa. So the British guys, the Europeans, they come out with Do They Know It's Christmas and raise a whole bunch of money. So USA is like, well, we can do that. Let's put together a team and let's get it done. So Quincy Jones assembles everyone he can find. And it was a pretty great list of singers, you know, putting Dylan up there with Springsteen and Cyndi Lauper and Huey Lewis. That's cool. The one that always makes me laugh on We Are the World, just the video or the song, whatever, is somehow Kim Carnes' agent got a hold of someone powerful and said, get her in this song. She needs a solo. And they're like, we don't want her to be in the song. She sang Betty Davis Eyes and no one else knows anything. I'm making this up, of course, but this is how I imagine it went. And they're like, no. We've got this on you and we're going to release it and tell the world, ruin your career unless you put her on. Like, fine, here you go. Here's her solo. Right, I'm going to do my best impression of the Kim Carnes solo in USA for Africa's We Are the World. When we, that's it. That's all she says. 2 words, when we. And then Cyndi goes off on yeah. And then everyone goes. Anyway, We Are the World, USA for Africa, number 1. Are you enjoying this look back at the 80s? Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't miss any others. It's Wednesday. It's April 24th, 1985. It's 8 o'clock. Let's see what's on television. Are you looking for action? Are you looking for action? Are you looking for angels in action? ABC, CBS, NBC. On ABC, we had The Fall Guy. That was Lee Majors, Douglas Barr, and Heather Thomas. Also, it had Heather Thomas in it and also had Heather Thomas. Later, it had Marky Post and Heather Thomas. But when it started, it had Heather Thomas along with Lee Majors. And you remember, Lee Majors played Colt Seaver. He was a stuntman, and it also had Heather Thomas. On CBS, we had Double Dare. This was Billy D. Williams. That's right. Lando Calrissian in an action show at the 8 o'clock slot on a Wednesday night. Didn't see it? You're not alone. It only lasted 7 episodes. On NBC, we had Highway to Heaven. Michael Landon, Mr. Ingalls himself, checking in as the angel who, I'm literally making this up right now. I have no idea what Highway to Heaven was about. I was watching The Fall Guy. Who wants to watch Michael Landon when you can watch The Fall Guy? Right at 9 o'clock, ABC went with 2020. CBS just mailed it in. They didn't care. They just put on a movie. NBC, however, knocked it out of the park. Facts of Life. Everybody loves Facts of Life. Like, if you talk to any 80s person, they're not going to tell you that they didn't like The Facts of Life. They're going to say, oh, that show, I love that show. And every time I mention The Facts of Life, I'm going to continue to ask this question. In the comments, let me know your opinion. Joe or Blair? I'm not going to tell you what I think. 9:30 on NBC had a show called Sarah. Sarah followed The Facts of Life. It was also supposed to be a comedy. It was Gina Davis and also had Bronson Pinchot in it. Fortunately, that show failed. They had like 13 episodes and that was out. So the good news for that is Bronson Pinchot was available to then move on to Perfect Strangers for Balky Bartokomous. Don't be ridiculous. That's my best Balky. Is that pretty good? I say it around the house a lot. I think it's pretty funny. Somebody doesn't think it's pretty funny. Somebody's probably right. At 10 o'clock, it was St. Elsewhere versus Hotel, and CBS is still showing the movie. St. Elsewhere, good cop show. Hotel, typical drama. For a Wednesday night, not bad. You start out, you put on The Fall Guy. At 9 o'clock, The Facts of Life. 9:30, go to bed. The last week in April of 1985 was such an 80s box office, it was ridiculous. The Care Bears movies on the list. Lost in America, Witness, Right? The Last Dragon was number 9. Number 8, Don't Fall for the Banana in the Tailpipe. That's Beverly Hills Cop. Beverly Hills Cop had been on the charts for 21 weeks, and it's still number 8. $208 million to this point. Number 7, Desperately Seeking Susan. Desperately seeking a good movie. Madonna. Stay behind the mic. Stay off the big screen. Number 6, Lady Hawk. Number 5, Mask. This is probably the only time I'd ever watch a Cher movie. Number 4 on the list is Moving Violations. This is Bill Murray's brother and one of the Tilly sisters in a comedy, and it was actually pretty funny. Falling from the number 1 spot to the number 3 this week is Police Academy 2, Their First Assignment. Number 2 on the list this week, Just One of the Guys. William Zabka as a bad guy, and the girl who plays the guy. And number 1 this week is a movie that I honestly had to look up. I hadn't heard of it. I kind of know a lot about the 80s. I kind of know a lot about 80s just culture and history, and certainly a lot about pop culture, right? I hadn't heard of it. I had to look it up. You know, Elmer Leonard, he's the guy that did 3:10 for Yuma. He's the guy that did Justified. He is the guy behind Get Shorty. They cast Burt Reynolds, not only as the actor, but as the director. So Burt Reynolds is directing Burt Reynolds. And you know what Burt Reynolds really likes? Smokey and the Bandit. So he basically turns this amazing story by an incredible author into Smokey and the Bandit part, whatever. A lot of one-liners, a lot of pauses and wait for reaction, like just terrible. It was so bad that after seeing it, Elmer Leonard said he didn't even recognize his screenplay. Are you enjoying this look back at the 80s with me? Click the subscribe button so you can stay with me for the entire decade. I like to do the news segments because it reminds us of what was on television and what was kind of the general atmosphere of life at the time. But at this time, in the middle of the 80s, there wasn't really anything going on that was big of news. So the nightly news was just like all politics. It's like Reagan's going to West Germany and there's something going on in Nicaragua. It's just nonstop. It's politics, politics, politics. And I am never going to do a political show because enough of that crap. So let's talk about something way more fun. But how about instead we discuss the top cars of 1985? I was looking through this list and I honestly was just laughing because all I was thinking was, these are a bunch of old people cars. Like these are like cars that your grandmother drove and your grandfather drove and your aunt and your uncles, your mother. And there's one that all your friends had because all my friends had it too. All right, so I'm not going to do like the top 500, which I have here, but let's just take a look at the top 20 cars of 1985. Number 20 on the list, the Toyota Corolla. Number 19, Chevy C10. Number 18 was the Ford Thunderbird. That was supposed to be cool. It was kind of cool, but it wasn't really. Number 17 was the Ford Crown Vic. That was a cop car. I think my mother had one too. Number 16, Nissan Sentra. Number 15, Chevy S10. Number 14, the Ford LTD. Like these are the most boring cars ever. Number 13, the Chevy Camaro. Your first thought is, well, there you go, Paul. There's a cool car. Remember the 85 Camaro? That thing was lame. Incredibly lame. Number 12, the Olds 88. My grandmother's Olds 88. Number 11, the Ford Ranger. The little Ford pickup that they had kicking around for those who didn't need the full-size pickup but still wanted to be cool enough to drive a pickup. Number 10, the Oldsmobile Supreme. Again, like these are all the cars that our grandparents drove. Number 9, the Buick Century. Number 8, Chevy Caprice. I think they made a cop car out of that one too. But number 7, the Toyota SR5. Now we're talking. What's the Toyota SR5? That's the one Marty McFly got at the end of Back to the Future. That's a cool truck. Number 6, the Ford Tempo. Half of my friends drove one of those. Number 5, Oldsmobile Sierra. Another old person car. Number 4, Chevy Celebrity. Everybody's friend's mom had one of those. Ford Escort. That's what the other half of your friends were driving when the other half were driving the Tempo. Number 2, the Chevy Cavalier. And as you can expect, the number 1 vehicle on the list is the Ford F-Series because that's how it's been since the beginning of time. That's really all that was going on for cars in 1985. But these are all the things that we were driving. These are the things that kids were driving to school and our parents were driving. So they bring back fond memories, but I wouldn't want many of them in my driveway. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me for this week in the 80s, the last week of April of 1985. Don't forget to find me on Facebook and on Instagram. If you enjoyed the show, click the subscribe button and share it with one of your friends. I'll see you next week right here on This Week in the 80s.